So when you see the title to this video, your very first thought may be, well, it's probably because WWE never allowed them to reach their potential, and that is true, but there is still a lot to talk about, especially when there are a few wrestlers that get into your head, they get into your soul, they get into your brain, they get into your core. I really like this guy, and now here in early 2020, they're not even with the company anymore. What is that about? And all this started my own brain going when one certain person did get released in April 2020, and I thought, you know what? We've got to investigate this and we've got to try and put it to bed. So, here are 10 wrestlers who never lived up to their potential, and I'm going to tell you why. Here's why. That didn't really work. We'll start with number 10, because if we started at 7, it would be odd. And of course, the person I just talked about, it is Rusev. I will never be able to understand why the Bulgarian brute didn't get to the main event and stayed there, but I guess it comes down to that old riddle where you find out that World Wrestling Entertainment didn't want Rusev to be as popular as Rusev became, so they did everything to make him less popular. I know, I don't get it either. But from driving a damn tank to the ring at WrestleMania 31 and being the ultimate foreign menace to getting Rusev Day over far more than anyone thought Rusev Day could get over, it always felt like the real-life Miroslav Barnushev, and I hope I said that right, of course I have not, was fighting an uphill battle. That's doubly true when we do start talking about the latter, because Rusev Day, as the man himself has said, was meant to be a one-time joke, but when he heard the crowd going crazy, thought, well, I may as well have some fun with it, but you're not allowed to have fun. So rather than strike lightning, Rusev just lost. And he had that feud with Aiden English, which Aiden was right with, by the way, in hindsight, but nobody really wanted to see that at the time because we enjoyed him, Rusev, and Lana as a group. But we didn't do that. Like, go back to 2017, 2018, and try and find any clip with Rusev and listen to the fans. They are chanting Rusev Day like they think it's going to fill their wallets with cash. It was even happening when he wasn't in the ring and when he wasn't on television, because it's just one of those crazy chants that somehow transcends everything, and people just wanted to chant Rusev Day. It doesn't even mean anything. And if he does go to AEW too, I don't think this will be a case of ex-WWE guy jumps across, because I don't think he ever got his due in the WWE, so finally, if he does go to All Elite Wrestling, he can start to climb the ladder and actually have a go at being the top guy. And I will be more surprised if he fails, because Rusev, Ruru, is amazing. In at 9, well, it's a similar story with Wade Barrett, nowadays known as Stu Bennett. And even Wade has gone on record to say that when he was down in FCW, nobody really considered him the man, but even then, he was able to win NXT, or whatever the hell it was when it used to be a reality show, form the Nexus, and become one of the most badass groups we had seen in some time. The fans bought into this hard, and there was no surprise, because do you remember what they did when they first arrived on the scene? Not only did they wreck the joint, but they beat up John Cena so bad, nobody could believe it. In fact, it was so much carnage, Daniel Bryan got fired and wouldn't return to the company for a few months. And again, now you look at you like, oh, Daniel Bryan, you lucked out, because the only guy from the Nexus that's still here is David Otunga, and sometimes you don't even know where he is. Much like Rusev though, Wade kind of got over when he wasn't meant to. He started coming out at random points and giving us bad news, and even though that was really hokey, Barrett was so committed to it, it started to work. I mean, on what planet were we living when a bunch of wrestling fans wanted a British dude to come out and say, oh, here's some bad news? But we did, and we lapped it up. In various interviews, however, he has said he has gone on record that he was even told, look, you need to back this off a little bit, because of course he was meant to be a heel, and he was getting baby faces reactions. But how on earth can you reach your potential in any kind of company if you fall onto gold, and then the gold is stolen away because you were meant to be looking for silver? It's not what wrestling is meant to be, and you know it affected Wade badly, because he wasn't fired. He quit the company, he left, even though he had been offered a new contract. But it wasn't worth it anymore, because he was too frustrated. Moving on to number 8, my word, it's Damien Sandow, and you can kind of take everything I've just said and just paste in his name, and you'll get the same kind of thing. But what we should talk about is the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal from WrestleMania 31, because that's kind of when it all kicked off. And again, it's WrestleMania 31. We've mentioned that twice now, it's cursed Daniel. But every article and video at the time was saying Mizdow, as he was known, should win that Battle Royal. And even though he didn't, it was still okay, because he had taken Miz, his owner, or whatever you want to call him, and chucked him over the top rope, so we got that payoff. He got a huge reception for doing so, and it was the same on Monday Night Raw the next night, when he even got a microphone and gave a pretty damn impassioned promo saying no more fun, no more games. Instead, I am just gonna start kicking some ass, and we all believed him. And then you knew what happened 7 days later? He was doing Macho Man's impressions alongside Curtis Axel, who was doing Hulk Hogan impressions. What happened? Now, I do like impressions, don't get me wrong. I think they can be a laugh riot, but you're never going to get to where you need to be. I just said this a second ago. It's going to hamper your potential. Again, it's not Damien Sandow's fault. He was told to do this, but I just can't figure it out. Coming in at number 7 is Sean O'Haire, someone that many of our younger viewers may not remember. But he was into the WWE after WCW was doing their invasion angle, and when you look at the guy, you'd be like, he surely has all the tools that is going to impress one Vincent Kennedy McMahon. Look at him. And after being sent to developmental once this angle was done, Sean came up with this kind of cool character where he was basically playing devil's advocate. He would encourage people to steal, to cheat on their wives, and if you questioned it, he would look at you and go, I'm not telling you anything you don't already know. The problem was, this never went anywhere. When he finally did get back to the main roster, they teased it for a little bit, but then he was teamed with Roddy Piper, which is no bad thing, because who doesn't want to be teamed with Roddy Piper? But it did mean his fate was tied to the Rowdy one, and after he got released, unfortunately a few months later, so did Sean O'Haire, and we never even gave this a chance. It also wasn't great timing back in 2003, because Sean O'Haire was rehabbing following a motorcycle incident. And even more unfortunately, if you don't know, in 2014, he took his own life because he was dealing with serious depression. As a quick aside, if you are in the same boat, please do reach out, please do chat to someone. It is very, very important, because this is heartbreaking. Next up at 6 is Drew McIntyre, and of course I'm talking about Drew McIntyre round 1, not Drew McIntyre round 2, because not only has he lived up to his potential, but he is now the WWE champion, and he's pretty damn good. Originally though, WWE made a very serious error, and that was before Drew McIntyre had even had a chance to walk through the door, Vince McMahon had come to the ring, taken a microphone and looked at everyone, looked at the WWE universe, and said, oh, by the way, here's a man from Scotland, and not only is he going to be the world champion, but he's also the chosen one. I mean, talk about raising the bar. And fair play to the boss, he was right, but look at what the Scottish psychopath had to go through. He was released in 2014, kind of got a new gusto for wrestling, and then fought his way back. And yeah, much like a Stone Cold Steve Austin, him actually getting fired was a blessing in disguise, but just don't walk out on television and light so much of a fire under somebody's ass. Look at Roman Reigns. Remember Roman Reigns? You pushed him down people's throats like, can't breathe, and you'll turn. Just let things happen naturally. Which moves us on to number 5, which is Gail Kim, and I just don't get it. I don't understand why Gail Kim wasn't one of the most successful women to ever enter and walk the halls of WWE. Now, I know she wasn't there at the best time because the company wasn't really treating females as they should, but her sheer talent alone should have shone through. Unfortunately, there is also this one story about Jim Ross talking to Vince McMahon, and this is JR's words, it's not mine, so don't get mad at me, but when he was trying to hire Gail Kim, he had to explain to Vince that Asian porn was popular. And that's all I'm going to say about that. And also sums up my point right now. More power to Gail though, because she never took any shit from anybody, always put herself first, and despite never really having a super duper run in the WWE, is still considered a Hall of Famer and a legend. That, my friends, is called kicking ass. It also goes to show that you can't keep good talent down, which is very appropriate for number 4, which is Neville, because, you know, he was the man that gravity forgot. And if gravity forgets you, you can't be held down. Yeah, shut up. And mostly it was kind of just wrong place, wrong time when it come to the Now Pack, because when he was there, the Cruiserweight division, the 205 Live, was getting some sort of a spotlight put on it, and because of his size, they went, all right, we're going to take you from the main roster, and we're going to move you over here, and you just got to call a spade a spade. It probably felt like a demotion. It got even worse when his match with Austin Aries for said championship was cut from the WrestleMania 33 DVD. I mean, what a diss that was. And I can understand by the time Neville had made something of this belt, and he was then told, oh, now you got to lose it to Enzo Amore, a guy that most people soundedly didn't like that much. Well, he got sick of it, he packed his bag, and he went home because he realized he hit the ceiling and he felt he could go higher, even though he was the man that gravity forgot. Also, now we're looking at it, I would say that he has done that because he's one of the most pivotal parts of All Elite Wrestling. Well, there you go. And then there's a man who has followed a similar path at number 3, and that is Luke Harper, now known as Brody Lee. Now, if you had asked me this question a couple of months ago, I would have gone, I have no idea why he wasn't successful in WWE. But thankfully, when you do leave that company, you have to go on Talk is Jericho. That's just the way these days. And when he was there, he explained the situation. So now at least, well, I understand. I don't really get it, but I understand. It all came down to the way that Vince McMahon did see Luke Harper, because in his own words, he was a smart guy who also looked like a monster, and McMahon just couldn't get those two things together. You either should have been an intelligent guy or a scary guy, and the fact that Luke Harper was both was too much for the boss. The strangest part is that Luke was also ordered to do a southern accent, even though he told management it would absolutely suck. And when it did suck, he thought he'd be able to move away from it, until being told no, every time he cuts a promo, he must use a southern accent. And it was bad, and Vince McMahon knew it was bad, and that was something else that was held against him. We are living in crazy times. It all saw him sit at home for months, and what can you do from your couch? In the words of one CM Punk, absolutely nothing, and it also took away his power of potential. Which brings us to our number 2, and you could say it's the first guy who has to wear some of his misgrievances on his back, and I am talking about one Mr. Kennedy, because if you do go back in the day, nobody seemed to have more an upside and more potential than the man also known as Ken, and it looked like WWE was about to strap a rocket to him. He was going to be world champion, he was going to be Money in the Bank, he was going to be Vince McMahon's son, and his name was Kennedy, which was the middle name of Vincent Kennedy McMahon. I mean, how the hell could all of this go wrong? And then somehow it did, and it was a combination of failed drug tests and seemingly just getting on the wrong side of the wrong people. Then just before he did get suspended, he also did a public interview where he said he would never take drugs and he think it was ridiculous, and I really do think he rang up his goodwill when it came to the office. And I also truly think that if Ken Kennedy had played all of this better, not only would he have been a multi-time world champion, but he would still be in the organization today, and he would still be doing pretty incredible things. That's how popular he was at one stage. And he's still done well. Don't get me wrong. But in terms of WWE, boy howdy, did that not live up to its potential. As for number 1, well, it's Sin Cara, mostly because he just botched a lot of moves and he was meant to be a move machine. I don't hold that against him. Lots of people botch moves. Lots of people make mistakes. I make mistakes all the time. But I mean, one time he even slipped up on his trampoline, which was part of his entrance. It didn't go well. Poor Sin Cara. Now he's gone. There were 2 versions of him as well. WWE is so desperate to make it work. What do you do? Now, don't forget to leave a comment below and let us know what you think about all of this. And trampolines, damn trampolines. Like the video, share the video, subscribe to What Culture Wrestling. Then head over to whatculture.com, read yourself some articles. Follow What Culture on Twitter, What Culture WWE, and watch more videos here on What Culture Wrestling. My name is Simon from What Culture. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll talk to you again when I talk to you again. That's just how the world works.